Hey, so welcome back. Today I'm on the hunt for some firewood. I saw an ad on Facebook Marketplace for some free wood, and I check a lot of those out, and a lot of them are nothing, and the access is too hard or whatever. But this one was kind of a honey hole. A guy had about 10 trees taken down. It's all beautiful red oak, maple, and hickory, and he had the guy just drop the trees and leave them. So they're in sort of in some brush in the woods a little bit. Some of them are out in the open, but there's no way you're picking these rounds up 150 pounds a piece, if you cut it there. So what I decided is I'm going to load up the mini excavator. I'm going to take it up there, and then I'll load the trailer with some 12-foot logs. And yesterday I spent some time kind of reorganizing my space here where I process wood. I just put a couple pine logs down to hold log length firewood. So I'm going to fill that up. And then this over here is going to turn into a cutting table. I'm going to take all that stuff off the top of it and put I'll mill up some material and make a wood deck there. And then I'll just be able to take my tractor from here and load a log on there, cut it, and then the logs are at my waist height, the rounds, and then I just over to the splitter and right into the IBC tote. So the quest for making firewood as efficiently and as little manual labor as possible continues. So let's load up the machine, and I'll take you back when we get there. Say we strap this thing down and too old for this too. Got it. Okay, I'm home with load number 1. Let's say we get it unloaded. Okay, hey, so it's a couple days later now. I had quite the adventure getting that free wood you saw earlier in the video. My plan was I'd bring the excavator there with my flatbed. I have a flatbed trailer and I have a dump trailer. Obviously the dump trailer would be better for moving wood, but you know, I brought the excavator with the flatbed. So it's a 20-foot flatbed, 10,000 pound. So what I usually do, I've done this before, I did it earlier last week, is I bring the excavator, then I put a load of logs, like 10, 12 footers, on the flatbed, bring that home, unload it with my tractor, then I detach from that trailer, I hook up to the dump trailer, and I bring that for as many loads as I need at the site. So that's what I did the other day. But however, when I loaded up the logs on the flatbed, I pushed against the first log. It was a big maple. It was this log right here. This is part of it right here. So pretty big maple. And I pushed against the fender and it pushed against the tire. So I got the whole thing loaded up with 10 or 12 logs, you know, and I get up on the highway and a guy pulls up next to me and says, "Hey, your trailer's smoking." So I pulled over. I had to cut this log all up with this. Luckily I had my saw in my truck. I cut all this log into rounds, pushed it off the trailer and left it there on the side of the highway. Damaged the tire a little bit, but I made it home. Hooked up to the dump trailer. I went and got 2 loads. I got home with the second load at 7 o'clock at night, and I decided that at this point I had to hook up to the flatbed to go get the excavator. I don't have a spare, so I said, well, it's Sunday night. If I get a blowout on, 8 o'clock on Sunday night, that's a lot worse than if I get a blowout on Monday morning. So I decided to go early in the morning. However, I was having my driveway paved the next morning at 8 o'clock, and I had to be, in other words, I had to have the excavator home by 8 o'clock before the paving crew got there, because there's just no room anywhere. I wouldn't be able to get up to my house with the machine. So I got up early Monday morning. I hooked up the flatbed. I went up to get the excavator. I got home at 10 minutes of 8 and the paving crew was already here. But I was able to get in. They did an awesome job on the driveway. And I just have my little landscape trailer hooked up to my truck. I just went and mowed a lawn at a commercial property I own, and I was driving right by where I dropped the log off on the side of the highway. So I stopped and I rolled these rounds up the ramp, and I was able to get the tree that I left behind. So it's a lot of nice maple there. I didn't want to leave it behind. I didn't care about leaving it behind. I felt funny about leaving my junk on the side of the highway. So I cleaned it all up and actually cleaned up some trash, and so that's all good. Now today I want to get all this wood I got. You see the pile over there in the distance, that's from another site. I want to get it all organized, get it all staged, because we're going away tomorrow for 10 or 12 days to Texas to a music festival, and when I get back I don't want to come back to a mess. So that's what you're going to see now, is me just with the excavator and the tractor just moving wood and getting organized. So I'll set you up and see if we can get this done. Alright, that's pretty much all the wood I collected the other day. You see there's a bunch of maple in here, and that's oak, and then that's all oak, and then these long ones are all maple. And And then I got some maple rounds I showed you before here. Over here on the other part, the old processing area, I used to do wood over here. There's a load that I picked up last week. It's an oak tree that was red oak tree that was cut down a year ago. So I'm calling that over there the new oak, and this over here is the old oak. So oak takes a long time to season, at least a year, preferably 2. So this stuff, since it's been down for a year, I mean, granted it's in 4 or 5 foot lengths. It's been down for a year. If I split that this spring, it'll be ready to sell in the fall. I think the best way to probably do this is with the forks and just a pair of gloves and throw all the small stuff on the forks. Ideally what I do is pick it up and cut it all at the same time, but I'm not cutting anything right now. I'm just getting cleaned up. So let's pick it up and start hauling it with the tractor. So until I get everything cleaned up, I don't have the best set of efficiencies here yet. Ultimately what I want to have is log length lumber, log length firewood. I take it off the pile, I put it on the cutting station, I cut it, it goes into a tote. But right now I got all this small stuff, and I probably always will. And I've got, I just don't want to cut it on the ground. I can't stand bending over and cutting on the ground. So either I pick it up with the excavator, hold it in the thumb, cut it, or I put it on the plucking table, cutting table, whatever we're calling this. Let's see, stay tuned. I know things are kind of crazy right now. I guess we're going to do a bunch of firewood videos. But that's where things have taken me. I've been doing firewood. I've been doing cabinet jobs for people. I just finished a desk build, bookshelf desk combo I just built. I have a table that I have to disassemble and reassemble, make it smaller table. So that'll be upcoming. But right now we're going to Texas for 2 weeks to play guitars and eat tacos. So I feel good about this. I got this organized, and when I get back, we got a lot of projects to tackle, including this wood pile. This will be ongoing, the table build, and a couple other things in the works. So thanks for clicking on this video and staying till the end. See you next time from White Pine Woods. So long.